However, he, meaning Samson, at length transgressed the law of his country and altered his own regular way of living and imitated the strange customs of foreigners, which thing was the beginning of his miseries. For he fell in love with a woman that was a harlot among the Philistines. Her name was Delilah, and he lived with her. This is what happened to Samson. Samson's moving away from the Torah. He ends up falling, and he becomes unequally yoked here, falling in love with a woman who is a harlot. And the problem is he's not marrying her. He's living in sin. He's living with her. And this is where things begin to fall apart for him. We're going to go to Judges, verse 4. And afterward it happened that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. Okay, so as we look at this story and we're introduced to this woman, Delilah, this is actually, her name derives from the Hebrew Dalal, okay? And Dalal literally means to be brought low, to be low or to be brought low. A little bit of irony considering how this is going to play out, that Delilah will bring Samson low. Continuing verse 5, we read this. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, entice him and find out where his great strength lies. Does this kind of sound familiar? I mean, you want to talk about a parallel. This is what those men in Judges 14 did. Those 30 police team going to his wife at the time saying, you better get the answer to this riddle. We want to know this. They didn't have it because they knew this bet was on the line. There's a parallel here. The same type of thing is happening. Samson's laying waste to the Philistines. They can't stop him, and they want to know how to do this. How do we stop him? So now they start pressing upon Delilah. And by what means we may overpower him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And every one of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. Now, there is so much that we need to appreciate about what we just read. Number one, you look at this, there's a lot of spiritual connotation, prophetic connotation, if you will, of here you can see this Delilah. She's going to be a betrayer to him. Here he loves her, and you're going to see trusts her more than he should, and yet she's going to sell him out for silver. Now, does this sound familiar at all? It kind of has a eerie similarity to that of Judas willing to betray his master, Yeshua, for silver. The Philistines are very symbolic of the evil spirits, the demonic spirits, those agents of Satan that work on his behalf. They're symbolic of them working day and night because they want to bind and afflict. The very things that the Philistines want to do to Samson are the very things that the demons want to do to you. And I'll just kind of give you a little bit of insight into this. As we go to the book of Enoch in chapter 15, verse 11, we read the following. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women because they have proceeded from them. And it actually goes on, I didn't put it up here, but it actually goes on and said, and these shall be called evil spirits. The very thing that we're told, and we can confirm this in the New Testament, that as Yeshua is going out, all these people were bound and afflicted by the devil, by these evil spirits. And with the word, Yeshua comes out and he lays waste to them. The great deliverer, the Messiah Yeshua, comes out and lays waste, and he sets the captives free, just as the prophet said he would do. And it's such an awesome thing. And so as we're looking at this story, as we're looking at the police team, as we're looking at these Philistines, you need to understand there's a lot of application for us today in this story that makes this story very tangible, very real. Verse 6 in Judges 16. So Delilah said to Samson, please tell me where your great strength lies. Now listen to this. And with what you may be bound to afflict you. Are you serious? So let me get this straight, Samson. Your girlfriend is, and one of the first things that we hear her say to you, at least what it's recorded, is, what makes it? Give me your secret, Samson, so you can be bound, inflicted, so that I can destroy you. I mean, I don't need to be a marriage counselor to understand, or have any degrees in the art of dating to understand, when your girlfriend is asking how to destroy you, that might be a red flag. Continuing on, verse 7. And Samson said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings, not yet dried, then I shall become weak and be like any other man. Now, this is interesting. When your girlfriend's saying, give me your secret, how am I going to destroy you? I'm kind of proud of Samson. I kind of see some wisdom at this point saying, okay, no, I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her the truth. I mean, so you can see that he doesn't fully trust her. There's an emotional attachment. Whether you want to call that love or lust, and we can debate that. But point being, there is an emotional attachment, but he's not giving up the goods. He's not telling what would make him weak. Moving to verse 8, we read this. So the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings, not yet dried, and she bound him with them. So if you had any doubts, I mean, you just have to put yourself in this situation. If Samson had any doubts about what are her real intentions here, she wouldn't actually go through this, would she? Well, that would be put to rest immediately, because she herself bound him with this. Again, not a great future wife by any stretch of the imagination. Now, men were lying in wait, staying with her in the room. And she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. But he broke the bowstrings as a strand of yarn breaks when it touches fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. Now, if this isn't bizarre enough, this goes on 2 more times. 3 times Samson has gone through this. 3 times she's put him to the test, to no avail. He hasn't given it up. Until we break into verse 15. Then she said to him, how can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. Is something that I want to point out here. 2 things. Number 1, Delilah is a master of manipulation. And number 2, I mean, this is the 4th time. She's relentless. I want you to remind yourself of how relentless our adversary is, because I tell you this, it's like we forget how relentless he is, and pursuing us day after day after day to try to get us to give in, to try to manipulate us, distort reality. I mean, like Delilah is doing here, it is absolutely evil. And how many times do we read in Scripture of the enemy manipulating women to take out their men? Let's just go back to the garden, Adam and Eve. Eve was manipulated, Eve was deceived, and ultimately the devil got Adam. We have a lesson here, especially not just for the men, but for the women, that women, you don't want to be used this way. And you need to be on guard that the enemy is not using you to take out your husband or to get your husband to walk away from the Lord. You need to stand strong. You need to be strong. Unfortunately, we're not looking at a situation on either end here where this is working. We have a master manipulator of Delilah, the enemy, and make no mistake, if you believe in demons today and the influence of demonic powers and how Satan's kingdom's moving, make no mistake, they're moving in his day, in Samson's day. Make no mistake, they're involved in this situation, giving guidance to these police team, giving guidance to Delilah to take Samson out, because Samson is destroying the oppressor of Israel. And in essence, he is destroying the kingdom of Satan, because Satan's kingdom is built upon the glory, his own glory, of afflicting and oppressing Israel. That is his delight.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked the video or it encouraged you, do us a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the share. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Now, if you want to watch the rest of this video, hit the button here. And if you want to watch the rest of this series, you can check it out here. And don't forget, you can download the Corner Fringe Ministries app today on any of your Play stores. Thanks for joining us at Corner Fringe Ministries.